Thank you very much for being here tonight, everyone. I think we will have an exciting program for you. I'm going to introduce the candidates here, and we're going to go over the rules of the debate. I believe we had a coin flip, did we not, before the debate began? And I've yet to be told, so this is going to be news for me. Who's going to be, who won our coin flip tonight? Do we know? Gentlemen, do you know?
Keith did.
Keith won. So, Mr. Fimian will be providing opening remarks first and then closing remarks following that. Here's how it's going to go. Each candidate's going to have 3 minutes to answer the question, and then there will be a 1 minute time for rebuttal if they choose to rebut. If it's a candidate's option not to, if you agree, which may be a rarity, but you never know. So we'll leave that as an option. So let me begin with our first speaker. I'll give you some brief remarks about him, and then he can make his opening remarks. So, Keith Fimian, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Your first candidate, Keith Fimian.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Keith is the chairman and founder of U.S. Inspect LLC, that is the nation's largest provider of residential and commercial property inspection services. It's headquartered in the Virginia suburbs of Washington, D.C., and is the dominant inspection services company in the United States, producing more than 150,000 reports annually. Prior to founding the company, he worked for 7 years with the international accounting firm KPMG. A former certified public accountant, he received his bachelor's of business administration and accounting from the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg, Virginia, of course, where he earned a full 4-year athletic scholarship and captained the football team. Keith is president of the Washington, D.C. based Youth Leadership Foundation, a supplemental academic and character formation program that serves disadvantaged youth in our nation's capital. He campaigned for congressional district in 2008. He has returned again to offer his business-focused candidacy with the goal of stimulating job growth and shrinking the federal government. Keith Fimian.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah, feel free to move around. You have 5 minutes, and my good friend Steve here is going to be monitoring the time, and he will let you know. So the gentleman right in front of you will wave, and then if you go over, I will not so subtly give you one of these numbers.
Folks, it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I thank you for allowing us to debate with you. For years, my daughters swam here at the JCC, so I'm well familiar with it. The American dream and life of freedom and opportunity and unlimited possibility that has always been the birthright of every American and the hope of every immigrant to America is passing away before our eyes. Our nation has been led into a valley of debt and deficit spending and overgrown government so deep and wide that for the first time in our history, our own children face a future less certain than any generation before it. Our parents, our grandparents, and those who came before them were given a great gift. They knew it. They took care of that gift. They worked to better it. They handed it down to us. That gift today, folks, is being turned into a mountain of debt and a sea of entitlement programs, all of them headed for bankruptcy. The blood, sweat, tears, courage, and sacrifice of our forefathers is being squandered by people who know nothing of duty or honor or virtue. At least that's my opinion. And those of us who love this country and look forward to its future on behalf of our children must ask ourselves a very serious question. Will we receive a land of freedom and opportunity? The shining city on the hill, the greatest country ever to exist in the history of the world, and leave it a place of dependency and decline? None of us here have any intention of making that mistake, but folks, make no mistake. If we do not act quickly and courageously and decisively, we will not avoid it. The stakes are the highest they've ever been in our lifetimes, but we have the opportunity to set things straight. The problem is the time to set things straight dwindles now before us as the clock ticks. The time to reverse these dangerous policies, so menacing to our own children, dwindles as the clock ticks. Folks, I'm running for Congress because I think Mr. Connolly is part of the problem, and I think I'm part of the solution, and I say that for good reason. I'm a 7-year CPA, got promoted early to manager. At Pete Marwick, got promoted early to senior manager. I did a rotation in the firm's executive offices in New York City. Back then, they picked 8 people here out of 2,000 to do these rotations. I mention that not to brag. I mention it because numbers are natural to me. I'm good with numbers. I started my company in a room above a garage here in Fairfax County 24 years ago. That company's nationwide today. I've created hundreds of jobs. I know how to balance budgets. Believe it or not, I'd be only the 6th current or former CPA in the Congress. I'd be only the 12th entrepreneur in the Congress, only the 4th patent holder. And I don't know how many CEOs of nationwide companies in Congress there are, but I'm sure there aren't many. Folks, there's the world we know that I'm going to talk about tonight, and there's the world that Jerry Connolly would have you believe exists. In his world, everything is fine. There's no trouble facing America, and he's done a terrific job. In that world, our great nation will continue to go along just as it always has. A career politician will tell you anything. They'll tell you anything because they can get away with it. They'll tell you one thing and tell someone else a polar opposite. They'll create an illusion of what they've done, an alternate reality, if you will. And they're very skilled at this deception because they want you focused over here in a field of play that matters little, when over here is what matters. Jerry Connolly is behind in the polls, and as a career politician, he's creating an alternate reality. Alternate reality number one, he calls himself a pragmatic moderate. Yet he voted with Nancy Pelosi 97% of the time. Folks, that's 32 out of 33 votes. That's a lot of votes. Alternate reality number two. Alternate reality number two, he calls himself fiscally responsible. Yet he's voted for $3 trillion in new spending. Folks, the 2007 budget for the entire federal government was $2.9 trillion. He's voted for $3 trillion in the short time he's been in Congress. Alternate reality number three, he calls himself a tax cutter, yet he voted for $670 billion in new taxes. Alternate reality number four, he calls himself a deficit hawk, his term, yet he increased the federal deficit to $1.4 trillion from $250 billion, almost 6 times greater. Alternate reality number five, he will tell you that I have no credentials. I've created hundreds of jobs. I know I haven't been involved in the community. I never thought I'd do this. I never wanted to do this. I'm doing this because I'm really concerned about our country, and I think I can do something about it. But creating hundreds of jobs, folks, here in Fairfax County is not bad. Alternate reality number six, he says he's not a career politician, but he is. And his career has been marked by massive increases in taxes and spending. Massive increases. Spending in Fairfax County has increased 60% on his watch, and taxes, property taxes, doubled. I've got to go because my time is up, but I'll return to this alternate reality I want to express to you. Thank you very much.
Wait, Jerry?
Oh,
Congressman? Do you want me to sing your accolades first?
They kind of know who I am, but go ahead.
Sorry, Congressman. For those of you who don't then, here is a little bit about your Congressman, Jerry Connolly. Obviously no stranger to Northern Virginia or the community here, though he is in his first term of Congress. He was chairman of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. The preceding 5 years, also served 9 years as the Providence District Supervisor. In these roles, he received numerous awards. Just going to mention a quick few here. Council of Governments Award for Telecommuting, Hunter Mill Defense League Environmental Award, Fairfax Federation of Citizens Association's recognition for his value engineering program that saved taxpayers millions of dollars. The congressman is a member of the pro-business New Democrats caucus in Congress. He serves on the House Oversight Government Reform Committee, the House Committee on Foreign Affairs, the Budget Committee, obviously in a tough economic climate. And he has steered to Northern Virginia for vital projects, plenty of money, including completion of the Fairfax County Parkway, widening of the Prince William Parkway, accelerating work on rail and Dulles, purchasing locomotives and rail cars to maintain safety and add capacity on the VRE, as well as funding for Metro. Ladies and gentlemen, now, Congressman Jerry Connolly.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great to see so many wonderful friends here and to welcome others as well. And I want to thank the JCRC for sponsoring this event. I think this is the biggest we've had. I committed to 37 forums and debates this year. Thank you, Marlene Blum. So this is a wonderful turnout, and thank you, because democracy thrives when we participate. You heard my opponent actually question others' virtue, honor, and sense of duty. Now, we can have a fair debate tonight about issues, but I'm not going to let my opponent question my virtue, honor, or sense of duty. For 30 years, while I held a job, for 30 years, I've been dedicated to this community. Right next door, I led that community when we had the worst environmental disaster in Fairfax County history, the Pickett Road oil tank farm underground oil plume that devastated my neighborhood. And I oversaw that crisis, and we recovered. I went on to become the president of the Federation of All Citizens Associations, representing 250,000 people in Fairfax County. I then got elected as a supervisor. Spent 9 years doing that, and then got elected by the county representing 1.1 million people, more people than this congressional district. And in that time, we were named the best managed county in the United States. We had a AAA bond rating. We provided one of the best school systems in the United States, including the best high school in the United States, Thomas Jefferson. While all of that was going on, we never heard from my opponent until he decided 2 years ago to run for Congress. Never showed up at a hearing, never volunteered for a committee or a task force, never provided testimony, never even participated that I know of in a public meeting about a single issue that matters to this community. It's not good enough to decide, you know, I've got these talking points from my national party, I want to be your congressman, and have no credentials. You got to show up. You got to care. You got to be involved. I have been for 30 years, and I've got lots to show for it. In Congress, I have taken that same let's get it done ethos and try to apply it, make sure that Northern Virginia has been protected. What are the results? Well, we have a stubbornly high unemployment rate. We've pulled the economy back from the brink. On the other side of the aisle, they said, we're not doing anything. We reined in Wall Street with Wall Street regulation, and for the first time regulated the derivatives market, and we ended big bank bailouts going forward. Never again will taxpayers bail out a big bank. We did that. The other side said, nah. Worst financial meltdown in American history in 80 years, we're going to do nothing. Here in Northern Virginia, our unemployment rate in Fairfax County is 4.7%, less than half the national average. We're creating jobs in Northern Virginia. We attracted 4 Fortune 500 companies to Fairfax County in the last 3 years. No other county out of 3,000 in the United States can make that boast in this time period. That's because of the unique partnership we've forged between the federal government and the private sector. And your congressman has to protect that relationship. We don't want any government bigger than it needs to be. But taking a meat axe and national talking points to big spending, big government, and not recognizing the uniqueness of this economy will hurt Northern Virginia. It has to be done much more subtly. It has to be done with care and knowledge about the intricacies of this place, not national talking points. I look forward to our debate tonight, but I'll tell you this. I bring the passion of what I believe. I bring the passion of public service. And I'm not going to let anybody question my sense of duty, honor, and virtue serving you. Thank you.